Hey, what is going on, everyone? And welcome to Wednesday night edition here of Bronco Base Camp. Tonight we have a really good show. We have a couple people here in the green room, so to speak. We're going to open it up in just a second, but I want to thank you for being here. You know, Super Celebration East, if you are into the Bronco thing, then you know it's been around for years. We're going to talk about how many years, but Gavin and I's first experience was just 2 years ago. And we had 2 Broncos on order. I had seen, 2 for the first time, and we went to Supercell. Great people, great fun, and we got to do a trail ride in an actual 6th-gen Bronco, and man, what a nice time it was. Went back last year with our 2 Broncos, and that was even better. So I got to tell you, it's a cool deal to be able to have Tom Broberg with Bronco Driver Magazine and special guest. You're going to see his face here in just a second. Let's roll. Let's do this, man. What is going on, everyone?
Hello.
Hey, let's see if we can change this format a little bit. Let's see which we like better. I like that one better.
That one's good.
So we have Tim with Overlanding for Fun, and we have Tom Broberg with Bronco Driver Magazine, and the man, the myth, the legend behind Super Celebration. So what's going on, Tom? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How's Gavin? The Gavinator.
Good.
Gavinator.
Yeah. How is Tim?
Tim is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
Tim. I was going to say Tim's here tonight because, we have a cool little deal we're going to be doing with Super Celebration. So that's cool. So Tim, it's always nice to have you on the show. Whenever we have a reason, we just send you a link and say, hey, join us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I enjoy it.
So, Tom, Super Celebration East, when did it start? How did it start?
What's Super Celebration East, it started back in 2006, and we had been doing some other off-road Bronco events since 2002. And it was the Pat Ford from Dennis Carpenter asked me to bring out a few Broncos for the F100 Super Nationals in honor of the Broncos' 40th anniversary. So we probably get 30 Broncos out there and, make a presence with the Bronco. And when Don and I opened the gate at 7 that morning, we had 200 Broncos lined up.
Wow.
It was crazy. There, I had 3 trophies for 200 Broncos. You start judging that. And we had a parade procession that got so long. It was like one would go, the other would go. Right there, we knew it was a kind of a standalone event, and from that point on, it took on a life of its own.
So Super Celebration. I get the Bronco thing and everything, but where'd that name come from?
Pat sat down and said, it was the F100 Super Nationals. So he said, come up with a grand name, a great, grand, super. So I said, it's good. We're just going to have a super celebration with the Broncos at the Super Nationals. And, that's kind of, that you can probably pay ad agencies thousands of dollars to come up with a marketing scheme. And that just kind of fell off its tongue and took a life of its own. And, here we are 18 years later.
So you mentioned, you said Carpenter, was it Dan?
Well, it was Pat Ford. He's like the event manager at Dennis Carpenter.
A Dennis car. Did he have anything to do with Mustangs at all?
I think he did. I think he did back in the day. He's been around. Pat's been around in the event business for a long time. I've known him probably 20 years doing events and attending some of his truck events. But, Charlotte's a hotbed for cars anyway. So they have the nice Charlotte Motor Speedway, the fair there.
Yeah, we got a couple comments. We're gonna for everyone in the comments, we're gonna say hello just a few minutes. We're gonna kind of get some more information out of Tom here before we get going with that. But Josh did say, "Hey, can't wait to see everyone in like 9 days." I think you're going to see everyone a little earlier than we will. I think we're 13 days now, so it's going to be fun.
We're 18. So it's 14.
No, it's like 13 days. So
we leave on the 18th. I thought it was the 19th.
We leave on the 18th. 19th. First day is 19th, right, Tom?
Yeah, the Wednesday the 19th.
Yeah, Wednesday the 19th. So
of course, we actually start the Friday before getting the prep tents. So our week starts a little earlier.
Well, we're going to leave.
Tuesday, we actually let the pre-registration people in, as well as we set up a lot of the big vendors, bringing in the trucks, the trailers, the tents. But they like to come claim their spot, get their club tents going, so we offer a early access Tuesday for the pre-registered.
Yeah. So, what's the vendor situation look like this year? I'm assuming that's grown, or
it's grown immensely. A lot of the new 6G products will be there. It's amazing. We got vendors coming from California, Oregon, Salt Lake City, New York. It's really a national an event where they come from everywhere, and I'm seeing a lot of new vendors for 6G products. The vendors area is going to be packed.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, and I said that's always good. Do you find it with the vendors? Are they committing to both like East, Wisconsin, and West, or?
Some do.
A little more geographically located for them.
Yeah, geographically, a lot will come to both. There'll be a lot that come to Colorado from that area. Like Best Top's headquartered there. There's some of the more West Coast people will come to Colorado. A lot of the East Coast people will come here just to the cost of travel.
Yeah.
And Wisconsin was a new event last year. It was exciting to have a couple Texas vendor, California vendor. So as they grow, I'm sure you'll get more traction on vendors.
Funny story. I met a neighbor down the road with a Gen 1. He literally lives down the road from me. First time I'd actually crossed paths and talked with him was in Wisconsin. So it's strange. It's a strange thing that
you had to travel 500 miles to meet your neighbor of three blocks over.
Yeah, 3 blocks over. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Tom, a couple of years ago, like I said in the intro, Gavin and I went. We drove our Explorer there, and it was the first trip. Yeah, he says, "Oh yeah, I almost ran us out of gas."
Oh yeah.
He was afraid he was going to have to, hike the rest of the way. So we got there, and the weather, wasn't perfect, but it didn't matter. Everybody had fun. Yeah. That's where we got to meet the nice folks over at the Bronco Nation, which have one of their hats on here. We, met a tremendous amount of people there. And what struck me was I'm used to car shows, but this was a little bit different than a regular, say, a car show. This was just a community that even if you didn't have a Bronco, you're still welcome. And for Gavin, at his age, he had a good time.
Yeah, so, we don't like to be referred to as a car show. We refer to the Bronco Super Celebration as a Bronco experience.
And that's what it is, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a car show to me is where you go to the church on a Saturday afternoon, and everybody, if you get close to the car, they jump up and wipe it with a diaper, and that's a car show. Broncos are out there; they're driving. What you're going to do on your drive Thursday, you're going to use your Bronco. You're going to experience what it can do, and experience like Tim, overlanding outdoors. So we call it a Bronco experience, not a Bronco show.
So you said a drive on Thursday. Now, we didn't tell everybody. What's going on with that? What's the news on this Thursday morning drive?
Well, we got 2 guys, one from Driven Wild Outdoors and one from Overlanding for Fun, that have agreed to lead the Roaring Fork Nature Trail Drive. And this, we do drives periodically. We'll skip a year, do a year, but the Roaring Fork Nature Trail has become one of we call it four-wheeling on concrete. It's become one of the fan favorite drives. And you two have been gracious enough to step up and lead that drive Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, which is it's a lot of fun. It's Roaring Fork used to be cobblestone. In 2008, when the parks got a little bit of money, they put a little blacktop on top of the cobblestone. So you kind of go into the middle of nowhere and turn, and there's a little blacktop, a little bit bigger than a golf cart path. I took it down on an F-250.
I think we lost Tom there. We'll send him a link. Maybe he can join back in. Yeah, you have to love technology. Before he tunes back in, or before he comes back into this, we went last year, Tim, to. Oh,
Yep,
you there?
I'm back.
Yep. You're back.
Yep.
You're back. That's all right. Coffee break. So you took an F-250, you said?
Somebody phone an interruption.
That's there you go.
I'm on my phone, so it's open game, I guess. But as we were talking about the Roaring Fork Nature Trail, it was paved back in 2008 from cobblestone to blacktop, and it's a little bit wider than a golf cart path. I took it down in my F-250 with the mirrors out and didn't hit anything. So I've been down it several hundred times probably, in Broncos, leading people and doing different drives, and it's a really adventurous drive. It has grotto falls. It's got some of the old waterfalls, some of the old buildings on it, and if you're lucky enough, right there at Grotto Falls, they'll park the donkeys, because that's where they actually park to take the supplies up to Club LeConte. It's the closest area to get to Club LeConte. And at the end of Roaring Fork was a little area where a lot of the fire damage was from the big 2018 fire up there.
Wow. So
I got a little. You can get the dollar brochure when you go in. Shows you all about the history of Roaring Fork, and some of the little cabins. It kind of gives you a play-by-play of what you're seeing as you're going. But that used to be the old cobblestone.
Wow, look at that. That's awesome. Yeah, I have some pictures here I can show a little bit. But
yeah, you got
so you have a you said there's a pretty substantial drop off near the top, right?
Well, it's if you look off, if you've got open doors, open windows, it's got some drops on the side. If you're queasy of heights, it takes you up a good distance in elevation, and gives you the nice scenery of the Smoky Mountains.
Great for video and pictures.
The passengers always making you try to scoot over to the wall so they're not hanging out over the.
Yeah.
But
it's you recommend tops off then? Tom, you recommend tops off,
doors off, whatever
doors
you
off.
want to take off to experience it is. And the nice thing is, we actually were on it with a group of Broncos one year, and a tree went down on that drive, and halfway between the Broncos, and I'm not talking, a 1-inch tree. I'm talking a tree, and the Broncos, of course, they had to play on it, see who could climb up over it and drive on it.
It'd be too easy just to cut it out of the way, right?
Yeah, some of the other tourists were backing up there. They were, what's the holdup? What's the holdup? Well, if you want to move the tree, go be our guest. Or, it's really, you can't turn around and go back the other way. You can wait 3 hours for the park rangers, or you can let the Broncos play on it for 10 minutes, and we'll get our chainsaws out, cut it up, and move on.
Yeah. So we went on the drive last year. I'm drawing a blank, to the town, the abandoned cottage.
The lost city of
Elkmont. There you go. Yeah. And that was amazing. I've never been in a line of so many Broncos. And what was cool was you had resto mods. You had just looked like showroom, early Broncos. You had 6 gens, everything in between, right? And it was a pretty amazing sight. And then as you do that big circle and come back, you're passing half of the group.
Yeah.
So it was just a great place we have a video on our channel here. We were, following Tim up there and getting some good video. So Tim, this trip, leave the doors at the hotel. Yeah,
All right.
You don't need it.
And bring your little cameras that you mount on the hood or whatever. It's definitely a scenic drive. It's fun drive. You go into Gatlinburg, and I call it a crescendo as you go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes to 1 lane to finding 2 little sticks in the middle of the road, and you're saying, "Oh, I'm turning in there," and yes, you turn in there for a 7-mile journey. That is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Tom, for those of us who have kids coming with us, Gavin, you want to talk about your experience a couple years ago and then again last year?
Yes.
So from a kid's perspective, how was Supercell for you?
It was definitely a different experience for me because I've been to multiple car shows before that, but I had never been to an event that big.
Remember, this is an experience, not a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or an experience.
Hey, Gavin, did you 2 years ago? Did you get to ride with Dwayne when they took you on the little off-roading drive in the new Bronco? What did you think of that?
We have a
awesome.
story. Tell them what you were doing in the back seat there with Kyle, our driver, Kyle.
Kyle's crazy, but in a good way. But so we were driving through the trails. I was in the middle seat with the big Canon M50 with the big boom mic thing up top. Then I was like bouncing around because we were blazing through the trail. He's like, "Do you want a calm ride or a spirited ride?" He said spirited. I said spirited. And then we're going through the trails, all bouncing off. I was like, and then of course we got a good video of when Dad and I drove the sport down the trail because they let us drive the sports. It was the first or the second year, I forgot.
It was first year.
And that thing sounded like a trophy truck. It was like,
yeah. For those people who like crap on the sports, I had one on the bash plates because the driver said, "Hey, follow me." He was in a 6th gen, and he said, "Follow me," and we followed him. And I mean, I was super impressed. So, like I said, I know some people knock them. You take one off road, and let me tell you, you'd be surprised. But the spirited ride, I kept looking over, and so Gavin's just kind of bouncing around like this, and he's hanging on, his hat's crooked, and he's hanging on to the camera. So he didn't lose a shot. I think he did bump the power button halfway through it, so we did lose half of the video. But he was a trooper.
And also the lighting was all jacked up for when we were in the sport, so all you could hear was just this engine over revving.
Yeah. So
it was like 9,000 RPM, which is good. And you would think it's some Baja trophy truck, but then you look at it, it's the little Bronco Sport.
Well, and I'll tell you, Tom and Tim, so when you order a Bronco, or in our case, we ordered 2, well, reserved. At that point, it was
reserved.
Yeah, actually, no, the order had been done because this is after January. We could do the January
October.
20th, 2021. So basically what happened is we had 2 ordered, but we had never ridden in one. I'd only seen 2 at a dealership when it came through for sort of the traveling, exhibit. To be able to go to Super Celebration East and to ride in one and then have a driver that took you for a spirited ride, right? I told my wife, because she said, "Well, I sure hope we're going to, like these." And I called her as soon as we got back to Pigeon Forge, and I was like, "No worries, you're going to love it. It's great." And it was you say some of the dumbest things during the excitement, but I compared it to a magic carpet ride. So you could see all the bumps in the trail, but I felt very little of them. And that's when I knew I was going to like it because it wasn't going to, beat your brains out going down the trail. It was actually going to be fun. And that's due in part to the IFS and the Goodyear Territory tires, which some people don't like because of the rock thing, but they're really good as far as a comforting ride, softer compound. So that was an amazing thing. Now, what was your relationship with that course that we went on, that trail? Was that something you set up or Ford set that up?
That was something I set up along with some of the Ford guys. We went out, scouted, different areas that we could get to closely. I knew the gentleman that had that property, and he was willing to. He had to bring in a few loads of rocks, as you saw there at the beginning. And then we set that up, had a few rides, had some fun, and then turned you all loose with it. And a lot of the people that rode on that didn't realize the quality and some of the pedigree that was driving you on those rides. Some of them were Baja 1000 champions. I know, one guy came back and said it was a female driving us, and I said, was her name Shelby? And she said, yeah, Shelby. I said, Shelby Hall, the extraordinaire Baja racer. She's driving you and giving you an experience in your first Bronco.
Yeah, I mean, and I was going to say how many times can you say you rode with Shelby Hall off road, right?
Yeah,
like that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen often. Sorry, our cat's getting ready to join this, and that'll be fun.
No.
So the other thing, our driver was Kyle.
Is the cat's name Dana or Spicer?
Yeah, neither. It's the kids named it, I think, or whatever. Bubbles. Yeah,
You
imagine
named
that.
it
Yeah, right.
Don't even try it.
So, but no, it's going to these events is really huge, and like you said, you never know who's going to be behind the wheel. Like in that case, now, are there any kind of ride-alongs this year, or is Ford going to have a presence there for just showing the Broncos?
There won't be any ride-alongs because everybody will be having their own Bronco. They don't want to ride along with you. That was kind of a unique thing. We did it in Colorado. We had a crazy course in Colorado, but that was 2 years ago. And then last year they went through and unveiled at the Bronco Super Celebrations. I think the Raptor in Wisconsin.
Yep.
They did the Heritage in Colorado. They were unveiling some of their special marquees at the different supercells last year. So this year I think they're just going to kind of be organized to lead some drives, do some socials, and get some feedback from a lot of you owners that have put them through the paces. And
so Tim and I are going to lead the drive on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Do you remember all of the rides and everything going on for the rest of the week? I know it's a lot.
Probably starting, we start drives Wednesday. I know we have drives Wednesday. Thursday's usually the big day because it's, you have the biggest crowds generally there on Thursday, other than the walk-up crowd on Friday or Saturday that want to come see everything. But people come, some people come Wednesday, Thursday, some come Friday, Saturday, so Thursdays usually we have probably the most rides going on. And as you lead these rides and as you participated in them, sometimes they can get awful. If you get too many vehicles, they can get awful hard to control in and out. And it's nice to have a 50, 60 max on a ride.
Well, the one thing that I was, Tim, I'll get you here a couple of questions. I'm sure you have some, but one thing I was struck by was how, and I the best I can say for the last 2 years, because my experience has only been 2 years, is how well organized the event was. I remember telling my wife that, I've been to some pretty big events and things sometimes don't always work out. And it just seems from a participant's point of view, you guys have it all figured out. And it was just fun, right? So I'm sure there's stress involved, but it really does show well, Tom.
Yeah. Well, we're a small family organization, so I have to call in a lot of favors on the in-laws, my kids, my grandkids during the event to help out. And with the crowd, and thank you guys for stepping up to lead a drive. Because, in the old days when we started this 18 years ago, Donna would cook for everybody and I'd drive everybody around and show them the sights. And then it kept growing and growing. And next thing you know, you need 15 trail leaders and judges. And, it is a lot of fun. We have fun with it. Everything doesn't go perfect. We've had in the course of, we've probably done 60, 80 events with some of the other events we put on. We've had 3 trees fall during drives, a tent go blowing away, somebody pulling in their 18-wheeler and getting stuck in the mud with a vendor. And we had to get the 18-wheel tractor to get them out because 3 Broncos, Super Duties and everything else couldn't pull them out. So if everything went well, we wouldn't have stories to tell. So we look at it.
I was going to say that's the memories there, right? Hey, we went last year. Andrea tuned in a little bit ago. Andrea's been a friend of this channel since I think we got started, and it was kind of fun. Actually, lives a couple cities over from me, but we had never met when we met at Supercell last year. Super nice guy, and just other people, and we got Dave and Kelly over at All Terrain Nation, and then we met Tim for the first time because we've been friends online, and then you got to see each other, and a few other people, even some guy that just kept showing up in our pictures. It was kind of a strange thing. So no matter where you were, he was in the pictures. Bronco 78, who's a friend of the channel as well. We met him, and I hope I'm not leaving someone out. There was someone else there. We just had a blast, and you kind of after the event, right? Because I guess it wraps up every day around 5 or 6, I guess.
Oh, heck no. It goes on. We lock the gates at about 10 or 11 at night. If you look in the program, they like every Thursday night, the Two Gin Kin have an activity going on. Friday night, you have the Bronco Nation with music, and you got the great poker run. The Georgia Broncos have got put together this Friday poker run. They give away great prizes, and it's a lot of fun opening the cards. I don't know if Tim got to participate in Wisconsin with that, but that goes on till 8 or 9 at night. So although the vendors close, the activities kind of continue on into the dark.
Okay, so I was thinking, I guess that's when the vendors things close. Just keep going. I know any campfires this year, or is that
ever since the fire up in the Smoky Mountains, we can't have open flames at the Townsend Visitor Center now.
Got it.
There is a lot of groups that rent their own motels. I know there's a big group down at the Tally Ho that puts on a bonfire every night down there and sits around. So yeah, there are fires. I know the clubs do a lot of that at their own private motels and parties, etc. But we won't have a fire per se at the
Gotcha. So we're staying over in Pigeon Forge, but for those actually going, if you haven't looked at the map, if you're going to the Bronco Nation camp site that's set up, how close is that to the event?
Bronco Nation Base Camp.
Yep.
You can probably, if you had a good arm, you could probably throw a rock to it. It's probably a quarter of a mile away.
There you go. Is that
you've been to Townsend? Tim's been to Townsend. You can tell these people that it's one small city that's taken over by Broncos. I want to get the city charter to change the name to Bronco, Tennessee for the 3 or 4 days in there. We haven't got that far yet.
Tim, you stayed in Townsend, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We stayed just down at the Townsend Inn. I think it's what
Townsend
it was.
Gateway?
Townsend Inn.
Yeah, Gateway Inn. Yeah, it was just down the street from the field. It wasn't a bad drive, and this year we've moved out a little further. I found that everything in Townsend closes at 8 or 9 o'clock, and that's a completely different lifestyle change, I think, than what a lot of us are used to. And
well, hey, we've got them opening up and staying open like till 9 or 10 now, and that's like everywhere else, they have problems keeping employees in such a small little resort town.
Yeah.
What did the lady tell me? I was talking to somebody there that worked in one of the gas stations, and I think she said, yeah, everything closed early, but if you want some moonshine, you can either go down to CDW or somebody like that down at the bridge, and he'll hook you up. So
well, they actually just put in they just built what's called company whiskey. They just put in a whiskey manufacturing facility right across from the old show field down in the Heritage Center down in Townsend. So you won't have to go as far, or you won't have to look under the bridge anymore.
Yeah. I was going to say we could just kind of like stumble back to the event there. So the that whole area there, what's the story with the mural painted on that concrete in Townsend? Do you know anything?
That's a good question. I don't know that I've ever really looked into that. I've always appreciated as I drove by, but I'd have to do the research myself on the history and story of that.
Well, there you go. Maybe I can start asking around. We'll figure it out, right?
Yeah, and
There's
right
the next
across the
video,
street,
Tim.
right across the street from that was the old bridge that they actually covered now, so it's now the old covered bridge. And if you go by there's a couple other places in Townsend, right by the Abbey. There's the swinging bridges you can walk across. You know
Oh, those are cool.
the old rope type bridges.
So when you're going to Super Celebration East, you're going there for the Broncos, you're going for the drives, you're going for all the vendors and all the cool stuff there, even the food, right? But what about after? You want to take a break at night or whatever? You can head to Pigeon Forge. There's, if you like in Gavin's case, we're going to take him, let him do the go-kart thing, and
the Alpine coaster.
so he has that gravity, the Alpine coaster. He loves that.
So there's this thing. It's Outdoor Gravity Park. I saw it on YouTube Shorts, and it's the only Zorbing. I'll talk about it in a second. But it said Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I was like, well, that's where we're going in like a week.
Oh, is this the water, the balloon?
So I looked it up, Outdoor Gravity Park, and it is about maybe 2.5 miles from the hotel that we're staying at.
Yep.
And it's called Zorbing. So you're in this big bubble ball, and there's a little bit of water in it. Not head high, just a little bit so you don't stick to it and start rolling around. But they basically, you get into this ball, they flatten the door thing so you can't fall in the door. And then, this sounds horrible, but they push you down a hill.
Sounds fun to me.
Yeah, but it is very fun. But it's the only place in the USA that Zorbing exists.
Speaking of water and hills and stuff, real quick, and then Tim, I follow up. Windrock, what's going on with some of the stuff with the drives or events over at Windrock?
Well, Thursday there'll be a group that will go to Windrock. If you want some more hardcore wheeling, Windrock offers miles and miles of trails from wild to mile. Also, I know that we have another park that's about 30 miles away, a little closer, not quite as extreme, called Bays Mountain. I know the Bronco Nation is going to lead their group there on Thursday morning, and there's options to go in the afternoon as an open group to go wheel up at Bays Mountain, which is very nice terrain, has some obstacles. It's not quite as far as Windrock, but there'll be groups that will go out to Windrock. We have a couple of leaders that will be, trying to take you through, depending on the level of extreme you want to take on your Bronco.
Yeah,
you can do anything from boulders to just taking the concrete and gravel road up to see windmills and radar bases.
Yeah, well, for some of us, whenever I do I have to drive. What is it? I looked it up earlier. 10. I forget what it said here. Oh, there we go. Townsend. My phone's trying to load. I think it was 8 hours. 8 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So we have to drive 8 hours. What we didn't want to do, Gavin, is we didn't want to go tear our Bronco up and then have to figure out how to get home with it, right?
Yeah, and we do that a lot. We welded them. They drive them. We welded them. They drive them home. But that's what's so nice about your drive. The drive that you're going to be doing, it's going to give you that experience.
Yep.
But it's not going to tear anything up on your vehicle because your pavement's going to be underneath you, not cobblestones, boulders, rocks, mud, and all the above.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. Tim, what do you think? Did you get a chance to see those pictures yet?
No, I haven't. But it sounds fun, and I did have a question, Tom. I heard a couple weeks ago you were on with Dave and Kelly on All Train Nation, and you had talked about some of the upgrades that they have done to the visitor center. Can you talk a little bit about that? And
there's good news, and then usually with good news, there's indifferent or bad news.
Okay.
The good news is, yes, the city of Blount County has gotten really, that's one reason we moved there is the city of Blount County has really gotten aggressive on cleaning and expanding that facility. So it is, from last year, it's expanded probably 4 or 5 more acres in the back, more gravel roads, a lot of fencing for security. the first year when you guys came 2 years ago, I actually put the fence up because they were under construction, and we couldn't let Broncos just drive in and out over the hill. But they have done a great job in expanding and putting money into the infrastructure. They're also right now, they decided a week ago that it was time for construction of a pavilion with restrooms and a stage. So they've cordoned off a little bit of the area that we won't be able to use due to the construction of, additional nice things. But it's not an ideal time for us for them to be doing construction.
Right.
So based compared to like last year, the same visitor center footprint with some indoor restrooms, outdoor
they have
porta
they're
potties.
going to put some outdoor restrooms inside of a pavilion, and they're putting a big center stage up down in the front 2 sections. They've actually leveled off the whole back, probably 4 or 5 more acres in the back, and put nice gravel roads all the way around it. So the trucks and trailers won't be stuck down in the hole.
Hey, didn't you have something called Bronco Olympics a couple of years ago?
Yeah, for years we did the
back.
Bronco Olympics. It was, and we still do some of it out in Colorado, but we did blindfold driving contest. We did slow racing, see who could drag race the slowest. In Colorado now, we some of the insurance companies didn't like the idea of us blindfolding people and sending them off on a barrel race. So
what could go wrong?
Yeah, what could definitely go wrong? So the right now, like in Colorado, we do a RTI ramp challenge. We only had 1 Bronco roll this year off of that. And then they do a teeter-totter challenge. So we've had to kind of tone down the Bronco Olympics for space and for,
yeah, definitely understood there. But I know
I would call it safety.
Yeah. It's going to be safe. Well, we're going to have a blast week up there. I think one of the things too is if you're thinking about a modification on any year Bronco, but let's say if you're new to this experience, you have a 6th gen, if you've been thinking about a bumper or some type of mod or, whether it be a lighting or who knows what, even fenders now, right? There's a good chance you're going to see a Bronco with that there. And the best part is when you see what you're thinking about on a privately owned Bronco. So it's not just a showpiece. It's someone actually bought these parts and pieces and built it. That's the fun part. Because, you might think, well, I think I like it, but it's a lot of money to think. And then you get to go see it in place and realize, yeah, this is me.
And there's a few vendors that do installations on site. There's also a lot of vendors that do free delivery to the site. So, a lot of people can take advantage with the cost of shipping now. They can take advantage, especially if they're buying something like you're describing of, fender flares, big, heavy items.
Well, I think, I know for me, I don't know about Tim. I can't speak for Tim there, but I hope we don't come back with lighter pockets because I'm sure there'll be that thing I've been thinking about and we'll just pick it up because hopefully you get a little bit of I don't know if they're going to offer discounts. Like I said, you don't have to worry about shipping, right? If you can bring it back with you in your Bronco, you can throw it in the back and keep on trucking. So, I think for us, 8 hours away, no big deal. We're going to get up at, I think we're hitting the road about 3 a.m., which is,
2 or 3. That's
way early, right? But because we want to get there early enough. Unfortunately, with work and stuff, me getting away for 3 business days is a miracle in itself. I wouldn't even try to do 4. So we're going to get up early Wednesday and head out. But when we get there, that first day you get checked in, figure out where you're going to hang out for a few days, and it's just fun, And I think for me is I look at Ford really has put interest in this as well. And I don't know how that backstory, if you can even talk about that, how that went, but it's so cool to be able to go and see a Ford, showing these vehicles, right? Because you get to see, last year we saw the Raptor, we saw the Everglades. First time I'd seen a Raptor in person, first time I'd seen an Everglades. I don't know. I've seen everything else. I've seen Heritage, 2 doors, 4 doors, Limiteds. I don't know if what they're gonna have there, but it's still that experience for people who don't own a Bronco of any year, especially a 6th gen. Ford has something there. They get to sit in it and they get to tell them all the specs and things like that. So looking forward to that. And I'm just glad Ford's been whatever part that at least they've had a presence.
Yeah, and not even for the 6G, but also some of the first generations.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see some new modern, maybe some electric frames, maybe some the EVs going towards the first generation. So I think every year you see something new and exciting. We get home and always go, oh, that was there. We go through the whole show field day in and day out all night long, and still there's something that we miss.
Yeah, Tim, I told you last year leaving, we were at the hotel. There was 2 early Broncos there that were, one was front wheel drive. It had I think a 2-liter EcoBoost in it. It was basically a modern vehicle that somebody just put a body on. I don't know what it was originally. So,
hey, Gavin, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What you know what the locals call Pigeon Forge?
No.
We call it the Redneck Disney World.
yeah.
That's why the Zorb is there. That's why you got go-karts there. That's why if you're a Bronco owner, that's why you love to come here, because you have zip lining in Gatlinburg.
Yep.
You got goats on the roof at your rail down.
Alpine.
Yeah.
So
what's your favorite restaurant?
It's just good old country fun.
The local goat's favorite. Yeah.
The local goat, by the way, that's our favorite place there.
I don't know, Dwayne. That barbecue was it Boss Hogg's barbecue there?
That was
Valley Road. That on the way down towards Townsend. That was some good food.
You want to know that there is a restaurant on Wares Valley Road just outside of Townsend that's been voted one of the 50 best restaurants in the United States.
Well, I think they closed at 8:00 too.
Yeah,
and that's Elvira's. I don't know if y'all went past Elvira's, but
wait a minute, did we eat there? Is that when you're leaving Townsend headed to Pigeon Forge? Is it on the right hand side, kind of up a hill?
Yeah, like big old. It's got crepes, some good old breakfast and lunch. Yeah,
there was something else right around it there. I can't remember, but we ate there. It was great. All that stuff through there is great. But look, as far as and I want to talk anybody, away from the event, but obviously if you want to do something else, you're right. I mean, it's like a mini Orlando there. Pigeon Forge is, I think easier to maneuver than Gatlinburg for nothing else, parking. But both of the places are great. I love Gatlinburg as well. But as far as the Bronco stuff, now Gavin's getting ready to split for the night, so let's get you a couple of questions in here. What are you hoping to see this year at Super Celebration that we didn't see in the last 2 years?
We've pretty much seen a lot.
Modifications, trims, or
okay. So I want to see a code orange seatbelt on the Raptor.
Code orange seatbelt. Okay, there you go. Is that something we can do aftermarket or no?
I don't know. But I want to see Everglades all tricked out, because I know some people have Everglades, right? Everglades or whatever you want to say right now.
Okay. So Everglades and Bronco Raptor seatbelts.
Yeah.
And what else?
Not much.
All right. Well, man.
Because I would want to see a dark horse, but
the Gavinator's easy to please. I'm sure you'll see that.
Yeah.
Come up with something crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say imagination, man. Just let it go.
You want to see a Gen 2 Bronco with an ice cream machine in the back?
That's
sure.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what
or candy dispensers or something.
There you go.
The Gen 2s have become hot. You might see a Gen 2 there with a 5.8, engine in it or something.
Hey, our friend Craig Bronco 78, he has a really nice one there. We went through we went through, we were riding down the Parkway. It's kind of funny. We were talking about this, and he was behind us a little bit and had the top down, and there was this V8 just roaring through the mountains. I was like, man, that sounds good. I wish we had. But I love my 2.7 also. Well, Gavin, good night, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining on the live tonight. And everybody watching, if you're going to Supercell, looking forward to see you there. And looking forward
Tell
to
them, hey,
see.
Gavin, tell them you'll
Yeah.
be happy to sign autographs and have your picture taken with anybody that
Yeah.
wants to come
Y'all
up and
want
talk.
autographs.
Tim has a story about that. So,
Y'all want autographs. Come
All right.
to me.
all right, buddy.
Good
Night, Gavin.
I'll
Good
have
night,
a Sharpie.
I see you, buddy.
See ya.
Gentlemen, I'm back. A little closer mic now. So I want to get into the and thank you, Gavin, for joining us tonight, buddy.
Sorry, I had to grab my charger.
So anything really different, Tom, this year versus the last however many? I mean, my experience has been the last 2 years. What do you think? We have a concert.
First of all,
Nation.
you're always going to see something different. You're always going to see new. I think the big difference this year is probably going to be the number of 6Gs that have came out. They're probably 40% are going to be 6Gs this year versus, in the first year, maybe 2-3%, last year, 25%, this year, maybe 40%. So, when Ford's rolling 7,000 new Broncos off the assembly line every month, these guys are looking to come out and do something and have fun.
Yeah, I was trying to think. Let's see, what was it? The other question I had for you, and I didn't want to try to get into too much of your business, but Broncos registered to date. Now, you probably don't have an exact number, but any idea what that number's been?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's well north of 700. So,
gotcha.
That's currently registered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're probably in there registering now. So, last year we had between 700 and 800 total. So I'm sure it's gonna be bigger than last year with more Broncos and more fun.
Well, we went up on
the. Now that Gavin's in bed, I figured he was going to tell us, I want to see a Bronco go 100 miles per hour.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, he'd probably like to drive it. The guy he wants to challenge everyone to a go-kart race. So we're going to try to figure this, get the details out. But
I don't know if Gavin is into the RC cars or the, the little die-cast Broncos, but the 2 Gin Kin on Thursday night is going to have a kind of a mini Bronco extravaganza where you can bring anything other than a big Bronco, the 6-volt, the 12-volt, the die cast that looks like your Bronco. And they're going to have a lot of fun with kind of like a show and shine and awards for those that don't have a full-size Bronco. So if these guys are working on their vehicle and it's not done yet, they can always get out the paint up a little 18 scale Model 1 and bring it Thursday night to the 2 Gin Kin extravaganza.
Yeah. So what night is that, or what day is that?
Thursday. That's Thursday evening.
Okay. All right.
I think it's 4 to 6 at the 2 Gin Kin club area. They'll have all sorts of goodies to give away.
Well, Gavin has one, so he has them a Badland, so we'll have to bring it.
There you go.
He hasn't done anything crazy to it.
We try to keep it. We try to keep the event family friendly.
Yeah.
So it's fun to get the next generation brainwashed blue early, get their blood running.
Yeah. And I say last year, I was impressed by everybody that was there. I didn't see anything that would even make me want to shy away from bringing my kids there.
Yeah,
it was a good, fun family event.
Well, I have 8 grandkids, all named after cars. That's how warped we are in the automobile industry. But
nice.
we like them to participate, so we try to keep it friendly for everybody.
One of them has to be named Shelby, right?
It is.
Okay.
There's
cool.
2 girls. 2 girls out of the 8. You got the Shelby. What would the other girl be named?
Eleanor.
Let the viewers type in and see if they can get it.
Yeah, there you go. What's the other name? It would be car-wise. Is it Ford?
Shelby and
would it be Ford related or just in anything?
No, just automotive. You'll get it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. And here's the thing, Gavin, from I say an early age, he's still young, obviously, but I mean, probably right after he could walk, anything with wheels, he's been mesmerized by. My 21 Bronco, my Area 51 Badlands, is technically his. I mean, he'll be driving, and it's scary to think about this in what, 4.5 years. That's his first ride.
Those come fast.
Yeah, so that's his first vehicle. I'll be retired probably in a Mustang by then, but he as far as that's concerned, he just loves this whole experience, and whether it's Bronco or Mustang, or went to Woodward Dream Cruise this year for the first time. He was amazed by that whole thing.
Did you go down Mustang Alley?
Yes.
Mustang. Yeah, we did, I guess.
Yeah. You can spend the whole day, we're Mustang people too. So you could spend the whole day down on Mustang Alley.
Well, I'm so crazy. I've got my ticker going across the screen there, but this Mustang right here, it's on my book Driven. If you look behind me, it's hard to tell, but the pictures behind me shows the shell of a car. I had this car. I saw this car when I was 13. I got it when I was 17. I sold it when I was 18. I got it back at 27, like that, and put it all back together. So it's kind of in a nutshell, that's the car story.
So did you name the car Boomerang?
No, yeah, no, I named it able to get your first mistake back, meaning selling that first hot rod was a mistake. A lot of people don't get that opportunity, right?
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
I bought a 76 Bronco, and it had been abandoned. It had a tree literally growing through it. We cut the tree down, drug it out on a trailer. I bought it for $5 and sold it for $400 or $500. I think it was $500. That was in 1996, I think it was, or 97.
So back when you were 10, 12 years old.
Yeah, yeah, right. I wish. But yeah, that was my only experience with a Bronco. And then, come full circle, when I saw the launch for the Bronco, I was like, man, I got to have this. And then, with that, like a lot of other people, we discovered Super Celebration. Didn't know you or anyone else behind the scenes, but we just went to that event, and it was cool. Son's there getting to do so. It's family friendly. So if you're thinking about going, go take the kids. It's awesome. Go to Pigeon Forge at night, let them play and do all that, and they'll be good to go the next day. The drives are incredible. The mountain views there's nothing like it. I can't speak for Tim, but I'll tell you, I remember us thinking when we went up to Elkmont and came back, I was just with that river to the left there as you're going. By the way, can we fish in that? Can we do any fishing this year?
You're asking Tim, right?
Well, I'm asking you.
Oh, you can fish in there. Yeah, you can. There's people that fly fish in there.
Yeah, get a fishing license for the weekend and go. Tim, what about you? What do you plan on doing other than Broncos?
Yeah, I think I've resparked my ham radio interest, and so there's a program called Parks on the Air, where you go out and set up portable and make contacts from state and federal parks. So I think in some of the off time, I'm going to bring my gear, but and I think I'm even going to set it up there in the field. Kind of one of my driving things here lately has been, what do you do if you're out in the middle of nowhere? How do you call for help?
Yeah.
And cell phones are not the answer, because you get far enough away or in the hills and valleys. So I think I'm going to actually take an opportunity to shoot an antenna up in the air and start making contacts with people around the country, and just kind of show, not try to beat them over the head with it, but just show people the power of 100 watts in a wire, and how far you can talk to people.
Hey, Tom, I have a question for you. How's communication around the event area, cell service wise?
I guess that depends on who you ask, because usually one or two of the services are great and the other ones aren't. One of them aren't. And as soon as I tell you, it's Verizon that's bad, or it's AT&T that's bad, or
it'll be the other one.
You'll get up there. I think a lot has to do with the way the wind is blowing.
Yep.
They have done a better job of putting a few more towers up there, and you'll find it funny because you'll see the towers are being camouflaged.
They look like the giant trees.
I don't have just a metal tower, but it's getting better. But as Tim said, there's not a lot. There's dead areas as you drive. As you probably drove to Oakmont, you had dead areas. There's areas where you don't get much service.
Yeah.
Well, I was telling Tim, my son and I went camping in Shenandoah, up here in Virginia, Luray area. I was like, we were without any communication for the night, part of the afternoon, the night, and the next morning. I was like, I didn't like that too well. So definitely we're working on that as we speak. Get a little comms going on there. But Tom, so this event, anything like I said, we talked about, it's going to be always something new. You're going to see new vehicles, new mods, always more people, that type thing. More food trucks this year, more vendors.
Yep, we got a couple new food trucks coming in. The food trucks we bring in, it's actually the gentleman that runs the Wares Valley Food Truck Park Wares Valley Social Food Truck Park. He's the one that's in charge of all the food trucks, and he, when you work with him day in, day out, which ones are capable of putting out quality food, at a breakneck pace at an event where people are, as Townsend's not got a bevy of food choices other than what we can offer.
What about the coffee shop right across the street? Is it still there?
Yeah, there's a couple new ones. Dancing Bear down the road's put in a new coffee shop, and there's another one across the street. And so there's a couple of new Joe places for the caffeine lovers in the morning.
Hey, that keeps lodging, right?
I haven't seen a Starbucks close by yet. So.
That's all right. We want some local stuff there, so that'll be just fine. So yeah, well, I had coffee from the place last year, right across the street. It was excellent.
Yeah, and the locals, the Dancing Bear and the Townsend Social across the street, they're run by a great Dancing Bear company that has got a few restaurants there and has a really good track record of quality upper class food. I don't know if you've ever been up to Dancing Bear or Blackberry Farms, but
now we were going to try to stay there one year. I didn't. Literally, they had one cabin available, and we called
at Dancing Bear.
Yeah, there was a wedding party last year.
Okay, yeah.
It was like, I guess that's right where the little cabin's right down the road.
Yeah, right where you come in on the right.
Yeah. I was like, well, we missed out on that. That's when we, decided. Well, the first year we stayed Pigeon Forge anyway, so we just said, what the heck, we'll stay there again, and it's a nice place where we're staying, so it's no problem. And Tim and Andrea's buying food and drinks for the week, so we're all good there.
Okay,
kind of thing. Yeah. Thanks, but
I'll have Becky send me your corporate credit card.
Yeah,
and I'll be glad to buy.
Yeah,
well, I'm sorry, Ducky. Y'all have Ducky send me the corporate credit card.
Tom said your new name is so we're blaming it on Tom, right? Well, Tom, I don't want to keep you much longer. I do want to tell you thank you for asking me and Tim for
absolutely.
Leading this drive. That's going to be awesome going up the Roaring Fork. I'm looking forward to it.
Our goal is to expose people to shows like yours, people like you, Driven Wild Outdoors, Overlanding for Fun, because this is what people are wanting to do. We, on our registration, we put a questionnaire because we're working on trying to develop some campfire cruises, some overlanding events, and it's amazing how many people are checking the box. They're interested in overlanding. So, you guys,
it is growing.
Yeah, you're on to a market is just going to keep growing, and the aftermarkets with the tents on top, the cookers in the tailgate. It's just astronomical what's going to be coming for the Bronco.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of Tim or any comment he had, but I went to Overland East, Overlanding Expo.
Yeah, that's close to where you are, isn't it? Was that up in Virginia?
It was in between. I forget the little town it was in. It was just south of Charlottesville. And
Biltmore?
No. That's Carolina. This was between Charlottesville and Lynchburg. There's a I forget the name of the town it was in, but it was right there. But I could not believe the overlanding gear. I mean, you could spend literally for these giant rigs $700,000-800,000, where you can buy a $15,000 trailer. I could not believe it. So
yeah, it's big little market there.
So, are you looking at doing something outside of Supercell with these? Overlanding?
What the campfire cruises is we're developing is going to be small groups, 20 or 25, taking them out for 1 night or 2 night excursions in different areas, and getting people like Tim to show us the ropes in Virginia or Indiana, Virginia, but.
Yep.
That's something that we see as the next mark. People, we've done it kind of impromptu in Colorado a couple years, and it became just the talk of the town. And as these guys get more of these 6Gs, they want to see what their cookers can do and their tents on top, and they're all about 1 and 2 nights they can do. When we do the Rubicon for 6 nights, that might be a little more strenuous, but.
Yeah, well, Tim, I mean, with the overlanding for fun stuff, he's got the name to draw in the crowd anyway. So
yeah, and
that's what my marketing people told me.
Yeah.
Before I go, let me make a shameless plug, because we are adding our 4th Super Celebration this year in Carson City, Nevada, in October. So we will have a 4th one a little farther west, and I don't know if people are familiar with Carson City, but it's right there by Lake Tahoe. So you have the greenery, the scenery. You have Virginia, the old mining towns. There's an off-road park that's right 5 miles from the park facility that's owned by the city that will be able to, take them on mild to wild excursions in an off-road park. You got the Bodie just a couple hours away, the old frontier town. So we're really looking forward to adding another dimension out there to a 4th Supercell, Nevada.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of great sightseeing there, though, Bodie.
Yeah, and the Rubicon is only a handful of miles away from where, so those that really want to get adventurous can head to the Rubicon.
Well, like I said, and Allie Dubois, she said, safe travels to Supercell, everyone. So everyone watching, whether you're watching live or on replay, thank you very much. And by the way, hit that thumbs up for me really quick if you could. And if you're watching live or replay, doesn't matter. But she also said, Tom, thanks for all you do. So yeah, I can tell you, we're only 2 years into this, our 3rd year, but super impressed the first year. That's why we went back last year and literally waiting for this year.
I've been doing the magazine for 21 years. When we started, people kind of laughed, saying, "Oh, what's a magazine for Bronco?" Well, there's 3 Mustang magazines, and Bronco's a 4-wheel drive Mustang. So,
yeah,
why not?
Why not?
It's just taking on a life of its own. And as you're kicking me off of here, I am going to tell you the name.
Hey, you can stay as long as you want. I just don't want to,
I'm going to tell you the name of my other granddaughter, Tesla.
There.
Shelby and Tesla.
All right. Well, Shelby and Tesla. Well, that's. You're right. Okay, it makes sense now. I get it. Cool
So
name too.
you got power and plug.
Power. Yeah. That's the EV thing. We'll go with this. Can you imagine one day Supercell having charging stations for the EV Broncos?
That's what Gavin needs to put in his want to see list.
Yeah, EV station.
Or his don't want to see list.
Yeah, we're ICE fans. I'll tell you that. Just what it's worth. We have a Dark Horse Mustang that I've ordered.
Sweet.
And it's all, as you know, Gen 4 Coyote. That's it. That's what we're looking forward to. So, but yeah, we love our Bronco because it's been able. You remember before we kick you off here, like you said, and you can stay as long as you want. The launch. So Ford had this Bronco come out, the 6th gen, at the best time and the worst time, right? So a lot of people sitting at home watching the launch. It put you mentally in a place that you wish you were. And so obviously the marketing side of things, was flawless in my opinion. But then the worst of times, because the same people sitting on their couch weren't working, building parts or vehicles, right? And so we've had all that. But I think now what's happening as all this is working out, more and more people are getting their Broncos, and you're starting to see these groups like we mentioned earlier. Virginia Broncos is something that we started, but we really want to make it gel this year so we can have a presence next year at Super Celebration.
Well, we got 18 different clubs that are going to have club sections. So, that's up from about 5 last year. So you can really see there is a lot of these Bronco guys are looking for fun in their area, looking for people to, drive with, wheel with, overland with.
Yep.
So it's just going to be, the local clubs are going to become like Mustang Club of America. You saw that grow in its heyday, and I think that's what you're going to see with the Bronco clubs.
Is there a Bronco museum?
Yes,
Official?
and kind of no.
Yeah.
The
my garage could be a museum.
Yeah, the backyard.
Actually, there is a museum outside of Denver that has a lot of the old historical Broncos. Wayne Schmeckel has been collecting a lot of the strops. He just got the K-Bar S Racer, but he's got a museum of a lot of off-road racers right outside of Denver. He just restored the Strop 18-wheeler, the hauler. And
Oh yeah.
He had them out to our Colorado show because it's close proximity. But I know he had them up at Carlisle for the Strop anniversary.
That's where I saw the 18-wheeler. It was at Carlisle. It was it last year? I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I would say that's the closest thing to a Bronco museum there is out there, and it's quite a collection.
When the Mustang Museum was built, we bought we donated some money for it, and we have a brick there with our name, car on it, and everything like that. So it was interesting. So if they ever build one like that, that's a good fundraising opportunity. Hey Tim, did you have any parting questions?
Last questions, fire before I go.
He's got to go.
I'm Zach Brown.
I'm putting Tim on the spot.
Put me on the spot. I'm sorry, but Tom, I do appreciate the opportunity to do this, and very excited.
Yeah,
about.
I'm excited that there's newbies to this. When I say newbies, I've been doing it 20-something years. You guys are 2 years in, but you're doing TV, you're doing Facebook, you're doing, the next generation, getting these people excited about Broncos, overlanding, driving wild outdoors. You guys are brand ambassadors that we needed in this industry, and we really love what you're doing. We certainly want to support you. Come on, do whatever we can to help get the enthusiasm for the Bronco world going.
Yeah, I truly believe the enthusiasm is definitely there. My wife, she kind of rolls her eyes, but we can't go anywhere and without somebody, wanting to look at the Bronco, talking to me about it. We went to her parents' house, and there was a repair guy there, Jeep Gladiator guy was telling me how he's getting rid of his Gladiator to get a Bronco. I mean, there's a truly a real interest in these things, and I think, like Dwayne was saying, Ford, they had the best time for marketing and then the worst time for production. With this product, but I think it's been overall, it's been a great thing.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna it's crazy when you stop to get gas, how many stories you get. People walk up and say, "Oh, my dad had one of those." I
can't remember. Somebody I was talking to said that somebody just walked up to the car and opened up the door and started looking around like it was like a dealership model or something.
It's not a demo, my friend. Hang on a second. Tom, I promise. Last question for you.
You're fine.
Broncos. You're not in a hurry.
No, I'm not.
Well, Bronco 78 asked, how did you get started with the magazine? So we mentioned earlier, you said you're starting a magazine and people kind of laugh. But did you just say we needed to publicize these stories?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the magazine world. I do contract magazine work for clients all over the world, and we were doing magazines for other car marquees. I still work with several other car marquees, Fiat, Alfa, some of them as clients, and we help put on some of their shows too. But the we said, why don't, if we're doing all these fun magazines, why don't we do one with a passion that we have? And of course, we were Ford and Bronco people, and I'm Mustang and Bronco people, and there was 3 Mustang magazines or more out there. So we said, let's do a Bronco magazine.
There you
And
go.
that's kind of how, I had one vendor. I called them up, told them what we were doing, big vendor at the time, and they laughed at me. They thought that was the craziest idea ever. After the first issue came out, he called back saying, hey, can I advertise?
Yeah.
They've advertised ever since. But, back in the day, you could get mailing lists of just the owners of Broncos. And then, now with the Shelby law, you can't get that kind of detailed information anymore. So,
Well, yeah, and I think maybe a section in a future magazine called "If Broncos Could Talk," right? Like the story that a Bronco connects a family. Someone owned one, they sold it, they got it back, sort of like my Mustang story, or someone had a Bronco in their family, it sat in the backyard, now they're restoring it. I mean, there's all those stories out there.
We've written so many. I think we added up. We've published over 8,000 pages over the last 20 years.
Wow.
Just as soon as you say that can't be the true story, they'll show you the receipts, they'll show you the pictures. It's like,
hey, when I found this car back, a buddy of mine, I was 27. I was excited. I had no memory that he took a camcorder. Now, it's not like cell phones now, camcorder, giant camcorder. He calls me a couple years ago and says, you'll never believe what I found. I was like, what's that? He said, I found the tape from the night I recorded when you found this car back. So there I am, young, a whole lot younger me, wild looking hair. I'm like, that wasn't me. That wasn't my hair. Yeah, that was you.
He had a fro.
And this car behind me was sitting there in this backyard in pieces, and you could see it farm fresh form right there. It was. So I'm editing that into a video for this, to tell that story. Right. I'm in business for myself today because of this car. That's it. Like, there was a crossroad, and this car put me into a mindset of growth and manifesting prosperity. If you want anything, you're going to have to work for it and get it, because I wanted to fix this car up. So the bottom line is Broncos tell the same story,
Well, we did a whole section on weddings in the Bronco, and how many guys took their girl out for the first date in the Bronco, they end up getting married, then they have the wedding pictures. And the Bronco, a lot of people don't realize, and this is true with the Mustang as well, about half of the market is female.
Yeah.
The girls drive the Mustangs. The girls are really loving the Bronco. So there's, it's kind of a mutual fun for husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, girl, boy. It's kind of a general neutral passion.
I mean, Dwayne's got a his and hers Bronco.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Becky has the Eruption Green. I have the Area 51. And my daughter took my 21 as a soft top. She did her graduation photos in it. So the first Bronco ever at her school in the yearbook. I was like, all right, well, it's not like that's some big thing or anything, right? But it's kind of cool. First one they've ever had.
Cool. When you look back on it, you're going to go, that was the first, but that's really cool.
That was her thing. She loved that. So, my kids right now they have, my youngest daughter wants a Mustang. My oldest daughter has a Mustang. So now we're in a hunt for an EcoBoost, like 2015, 2017. So we're definitely Ford, right? Hey.
Well,
did you have a Fox body?
I had a Fox body, had a 91 Mustang GT. I sold it last year, and I knew it was going to happen. I regret it.
You bought it back, didn't you?
No, the guy won't come off it yet, but he will one day. Money talks. Inflation gets a little bit higher. He'll return the call.
We're supposed to be talking Broncos, and we got onto the other.
Yeah. Let's talk Broncos. So,
but Don and I have owned a Mustang all of our lives. We've had every generation. We got to new one in the garage. So we're
Tom,
Mustang.
I want to tell you this, Tom. I'm sorry to interrupt. My wife, at one of her clients, this guy came in and he's like, "Hey, we fix Broncos up." He has a bunch of early Broncos. We're actually going to do a video at his shop. Apparently, he has 30 first gens.
Wow.
I'll believe 30 when I see it, but whether I don't know if they're all complete, if it's is he counting half of a Bronco there as one, I don't know, but we're going.
I have parts for 30.
Yeah,
Gen
maybe
1 Broncos.
maybe if we put them all together,
If you gave me his name, I could probably tell you if it's true or not. What's funny is I had a guy come up to me. He was a younger gentleman, 25, 26 years old, and he said, "I got 30 Broncos." I said, "Yeah." Right. He'd wheel with us. He was great at wheeling. He knew the vehicles. I said, "You get 50 Broncos, you call me." So a couple years later, I get this call. I got 50 Broncos. I said, "Okay, I'm coming to the middle of Kentucky to verify this story." So I went out there. Sure enough, he had 50 Broncos. I did a nice feature on it. He's sitting there, 30-year-old kid with 50 Broncos. Most of them are Gen 1s. A lot of them rusted. He's got them on the hill. It turns out he owns the local scrap yard. So he knew where every old Bronco was that was coming in or up for sale. And
I just saw
he got 50 Broncos.
Nashville Broncos. I think that's the YouTube channel. I did a thing in there with a younger guy that had a lot of Broncos. I'm wondering if it's the same.
It may be John Melton.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he had some interesting ones. He had a couple that were Gen 1 Broncos that went straight to the government for various uses. So they had special codes in them and some different like radio deletes and things like that. And one of them was still branded. I think it went from the government to 2 different police agencies. So this one was still decked out as a police vehicle, but it was a Gen 1. It was a neat video.
Yeah, it's amazing where again, you talked about museum. There's a gentleman in Alabama. He's got close to a museum of some of the old. He had a K-Bar S racer, but he has his. It looks like a garage or gas station and all the Broncos. And, there's a few guys with a lot of back in the day when you were buying them for $1,500, not 15,000 or 50,000. You could collect them, but most of us flipped them or sold them or bought new ones. Wish you
That's
had
what I did.
That had over the years.
Did you think so initially? The stories, was it Don Fry? Was that his name? The one that launched sort of the Bronco? I can't remember who it was. Do you think Ford? Do you really think they knew they had such a hit on their hand then? And what about with the 6th gen? Do you think it shocked them, the take rate?
Well, I think I don't know what. I wish you could be a fly on the wall and know what they were thinking and what you hear. But I think after the success of the Mustang, I think they kind of foresaw the Bronco. And, when they released it in 66 with the 3 different, the U13, 14, 15, I think they had an inkling that there was going to be a little traction there due to the other pony success. And then once they got into desert racing, I think that just is, what they say, win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
That's right.
I think once they got Strop involved and got into the Baja racing and, some of the crazy things he did, if you ever read some of the stories, pulling the trailer through the Baja 1000, it became like more entertainment and people. It wasn't just a hard sell advertisement. They were seeing these things in action, and that's kind of what we tried to recreate with the ride and drive at the Supercell. You can put one in the showroom and let people walk around and look at it, but if you put them in and give them a ride and show them what it will do, with the assist, turn assist, the camera above, just little things people would never think about. And that's kind of what they're doing at the off rodeos. They're giving people hands-on fun lessons with their, something that I don't think any of the other manufacturers have gotten so far into.
I know Ford has, that's the sale after the sale. So when you have one on order, you could go, or you've taken delivery, you can go. So it's like, okay, you already own the thing, and where a lot of manufacturers just like, see ya. But Ford says, hey, we've got this little thing for you to go to actually learn what all the cool buttons do, right? And I learned a tremendous amount from the trail guides there. So, stuff, configuration between the modes. You have your GOAT modes, but then you can also kind of modify those modes by turning things on and off. So you really get the usability.
Go to, Dwayne?
Texas. So it was fun. My daughter and I, we were there. We were Texas Off Rodeo the first day it was open to the owners. So before that, it was press, dealers, and then we were there on that Monday, which was the first day they lifted the embargo. So we were some of the first videos out of there because you could video, and it was just fun. But I learned some stuff that, it's like, okay, well, it's 4-wheel drive. Well, it's a completely different animal. Little things, when you don't go wheeling, this is to someone that goes wheeling all the time, this is elementary. But we live here near the Outer Banks. So we're in Virginia, but, hour and 30 minutes away, we're down at Corova and Corolla and Oregon Inlet. What happens down there, if you're in sand mode, you cruise down to pack sand, no big deal. No struggle. If you get in the real loose, dry sand, and people have been churning it up because they didn't air down right, what happens is you got to get out of sand mode and go to 4-low and lock in. If you have lockers front and rear, you've got to lock everything in. If you don't have lockers, you got to go to 4-low. And then what happens is you're able just to now get yourself out of that predicament. Whereas sand mode, you say, well, I'm in sand mode. Well, it's more to it. And I kind of learned that at off rodeo. So anyway, well, listen, guys, I have about 3 calls coming in. And my mother is a little under the weather right now. And one of the calls just came from her house. So we're going to wrap up the stream. I hate to do that, but I want to make sure she's okay.
All right, well, good talking with you guys, and I'll see you here in 9 days, 13 days, or whatever Gavin had the math at.
Yeah, he had the math. But Tom, thank you so much for asking us to do this drive, and thank you for Super Celebration East. It's such a cool event. I'll tell you what, you're going to go there. Chances are you're going to leave with a lot more friends than you went there with, and that's what I like about it. Tim, what do you think?
I absolutely agree.
All right.
Yep.
Take care, guys.
Right.
Gentlemen, I'm out.
Good night.
All right, see ya.
All right.
Bye.